Hey guys, Luton here, and back for some more Total War Attila. Now, if you've not seen a multiplayer battle before on Total War, that's what I'm going to be doing today, talking you through it. Now, you can customize a lot of elements within your multiplayer. You can choose all your different units, you can choose the geography. Me and Flamefang today are actually playing with randomized armies. We set the the value, the amount that they could spend on the units, and then it's just randomized. We're playing today Saxons versus Eastern Roman Empire. Now, the best thing about Total War that I always find is that their games play out so differently every single time you play, and it's pretty easy to kind of just jump straight in, provided you have a kind of basic understanding of movement, tactics, and these kind of things that are happening right here. So to begin with the game, what you do is you have to deploy your units, and again, remember, this army is randomized for me. I didn't get to choose any of these units, so I'm kind of stuck with whatever I have. And me and Flame have been finding this is actually quite a good way to play, because it means that you have to just kind of cope with whatever you have. You don't get to think, okay, I'm going to choose this unit, and then this is how I'm going to play it. You get given the army just randomly, and then you have to think, okay, so this is what I got, what the hell am I going to do with that? So my units, as you can see here, are primarily pike spear guys. I've got some javelins as well. I've got a couple of horse units, that's cavalry, and I've got an attack dog unit. I've also got these onagers, which are basically like siege support weapons. The cavalry I've got there is, I think there's some heavy melee cavalry there on the right hand side. I've also got my guerrilla cavalry unit, which means the guerrilla cavalry units, basically you can place them outside of your deployment, and that's really good for kind of doing sneak attack raids, or just, you know, scouting an enemy unit and so on and so on, which I do in another game. Today's game is pretty interesting, but I'm also going to say I have another one coming up maybe in a day or so, really cool as well, so be sure to come and check that one out. The outcome is very different to this one. So now at the very beginning of the game, because we're in this huge open landscape, there's no kind of cover of trees really. He can see me, I can see him, apart from of course any hidden units. If there's units within tree cover, etc., those units will be hidden and you won't be able to see them. And again, that's why I have actually a little bit of an advantage in some respects here, because I have these trees up on the hillside, and you can see that I've placed some units across this way. So it might be a little bit more difficult for him to see exactly everything that I have at this time.
Heroic cavalry!
So first of all, what I want to do is get my horses out of the way. He's seen them, he knows that I have them, but I'm just kind of taking them out there, out of that line of sight, and, you know, keeping them safe, keeping them out of vision. Now, obviously, this huge open plains battle, the artillery and stuff is going to be quite an aspect. So I need to get these guys in place, so I need to move them forward. I also need to start thinking about exactly how I'm going to play it. You can see that he's got quite a lot of cavalry units compared to me. I only have 2. Flame actually has 5 units in total, because he's got the 3 horse units, and then he's also got 2 camel units, which play out a little differently. Now, Flame's overall army makeup is actually quite different to mine. Like I say, my army is actually fairly defensive, but I'm limited in that I don't really have any ranged units. Flame, on the other hand, has got some pike units, but he also has archers, and he has mainly sort of melee attacking units, sword guys, right? If you want it kind of basic, right? So you've got sword guys, I've got spear guys. So obviously I have the reach, I can stab out and I can do this, but in combat, essentially, his guys are going to be better equipped, they're going to be better at that fighting hand to hand. So it's quite a difficult one for me to really sort of win from that perspective. However, I do have also some heavy melee, you can see right here. I've got several of my own attacking units. So it's going to be, this one we actually decided was pretty balanced overall. It's just that we have a slightly different makeup in that he has got more sort of cavalry attack and I've got more defensive attack. And in terms of looking at the layout of the battlefield where we both ended up, this actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm in a kind of defending position, he's in an attacking position. And bear in mind that the armies are quite balanced. We were discussing the other day about how we might want to set up some games to play out. There's stuff you can do where you have like sieges for cities, you can do siege towns, you can do defending missions and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of different things we can do. This is one of the cooler aspects of Total War, is that you can zoom in on these units, you can move in around them, and you can sort of look at it on the battlefield. You can drop all the UI at the push of a button, and that's really awesome. You just get this fantastic cinematic aspect. As you can see, here's some pike guys moving up. And these obviously are designed to counter cavalry, but if you have a charging infantry unit, they can be reasonably effective there as well. They're much better against horses and things like that. Okay, and here we have some more warriors coming forward. These guys are shield and spear, so again, slightly different setup. There's the heavy things, we've got all the cavalry coming in here, and he's got the archers up the front. So one thing he's got to do is he's got to push up this hill. He's got to cover all this different ground. And he's got to figure out how he's going to approach me. And these are my onagers, you can see, prepped with giant stone missiles. Here's some of my guys defending javeliners, pike, and just general warrior. These Saxon warriors. There's more pike guys, sort of spearmen, ready to hold the line, and you know, they can create shield walls, protect themselves from barrages of archers and so on and so on. So I've got a reasonably strong defense here, but this is definitely a longer game because there's a lot of, you know, push and pull. These things, it's not the kind of battle where you will just charge straight in head on. In fact, not many games of Total War have that, and that's what I actually like about this. Me and Flame are kind of just, you know, it gives you time to sort of think about what you're doing. You can reposition your guys, and several times as he's approaching, I will reposition my units, you know, because okay, where's he going with his cavalry? What's he thinking? It's definitely like, it's quite a game of chess, and that's what's really, really enjoyable for me, because you're moving your pieces around, you're trying to sort of establish what's he thinking, what's he going to do here, how is he going to play this. And here we go, the barrages have begun. So my onagers, Flames units have become in range now, and these guys have started to fire. I'd say the other thing that's really good about this is the cinematicness of Total War. So you can turn off the UI like this, you can slow the camera speed around, so again, you don't have to be zooming all over the map all the time. You can slow the camera down, and you can just enjoy the battle, and there's some really epic moments. There was a great one we were doing yesterday as well, where we were playing actually some Shogun, which is the sort of Japanese samurai version of Total War, and we were having this epic battle, and Flame here actually ended up sort of stuck in this bottleneck of woodland with tons and tons and tons of units. It just looked absolutely awesome. There was trees on fire and everything. It looked fantastic. Okay, so as we can see here, now I'm panning around here. I want to see what's happening, and you can see the camels have taken a little bit of a hit from some of those missiles, and they've clipped them. You're constantly moving around the map looking. Now I just want to point out as well, there are some versions, you can play like a realism mode, and with realism mode your units have kind of limited range, which is in terms of vision, so it means that you can't necessarily just see everything all the time, which is a lot better sometimes. We're probably going to play some games of that as well to show you just how it compares. But I've been enjoying the hell out of this. It's just every time you finish a battle, you just want to go again. You just want to play another battle. Just see if you can outwit your enemy. And I think, again, I always enjoy games. I enjoy games where even if it goes wrong for you, you still enjoy it, and that's very much how Total War is for me. Like, even if it's a loss, the process of actually having the battle, having the combat, is just as enjoyable for me as the actual win, because I always perceive these, especially with the historical aspect of Total War, I always see these something as a story, a narrative. It's like, here's my guys on the hill, they're trying to defend. Are they going to succeed? We'll have to find out. Is Luton going to be good enough commander? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see. Bad luck, guys, you got stuck with me today. But yeah, that's just the great aspect of how it plays out. I was actually speaking to, you know, Lionheart as well. He's another YouTuber, and he covers pretty much just Total War. If you haven't seen him before, go check his channel out. I think I've said this before, but it's definitely worth it because he has a lot of good content over there. We were actually talking about maybe doing a 2v2, so it'd be like me and Flame versus Lionheart and one of his friends, and we just have like an epic battle. Maybe just go for the largest armies, or maybe we could have more of a skirmishing army. Sometimes the skirmishes can be a little more tactical, you know, we have like quite a light amount of units. Now, as you can see here, Flame's poor guys trying to push these onagers up the hill, having a pretty hard time. It's taking them a good, as you can imagine, we were actually discussing this, we were like, do you think you could really push these things with two guys? I'm not sure. Maybe they've made them out of a very specific light wood or something, I don't know. Bit of car parking problem going on here though. Seem to be having trouble sort of intersecting one another right here. Maybe we should have positioned those in a line rather than a triangle formation before moving them. My onagers also are repositioning right here. Now these guys are repositioning because they're going to attack the camels, which have also moved, as you can see, off to the, whatever it is, the east side, I suppose. Actually the west, sorry, west side they've moved off to. And as you can see, when these things hit the ground, the graphics and the animation in Total War is absolutely fantastic. When you see these things coming in and landing on the ground, bang. I love the fact that it has that physics bounce as well. It doesn't just sort of smack and roll. And this one right here, look at this. Oh! Clipped a couple of camels right there. Something else that's really good, and you'll see this later on when my guys take a bit of fire as well. When these rounds actually hit, you'll actually see guys kind of get like smacked and knocked back from it. But then they get up. It doesn't just... here we go, watch. Look at that, see how it knocks them like a load of dominoes. Smacks them, and then look at them. They reposition themselves. They get back into their formation. They reform, I suppose would be the better way of saying that. Now, meanwhile, putting my other plan into attack. Now, of course, remember, at the very beginning of the game, this is another thing, is that you have no idea where your enemy are going to reposition their troops. So you have to kind of position your guys accordingly. Now, you can see me drawing a route for my guerrilla cavalry. And those guys are basically like spear javelin cavalry. They're going to make an attack. Now, taking these hits from the onagers and the fact that the camels and the cavalry have moved well out of my range now, repositioning these guys to head on with Flame's artillery. So it's a very kind of long-range battle at this point with us just firing. Now, something else that's very, very important to note is that unlike some other... Here we go, look. Coming down. My guys, my disciplined troops, see they're holding the line. Unfortunately, some of my guys have actually caught fire as well, and there we go. Two of my onagers get destroyed by the attack. Things not going too smoothly for me on this front.
Fire!
So these guys are preparing to fire. We're both within range. But yes, one thing that's very, very important to note. Unfortunately, they're kind of stuck now because the other onagers have been destroyed, actually in the way, and those won't disappear. They'll stay there. So that's an object which is a problem for me now in my limited space that I have up on the hill. But yeah, something to note with archers and any range units, they will actually run out of ammunition. I think as you rank them up, they can have slightly more ammunition, but basically, and again, that costs more. It costs more to the value of your army, so you have to make a decision about how you want that to be. I'm trying to bring them round here, but they don't want to move this way. Here we go, look at these things firing across. It just looks so epic. You can obviously chase these right up to the hill. My guy's still taking a bit of a kicking. More people on fire, unfortunately. And that actually has a morale effect on your troops as well. When people get on fire, obviously the guys around them not too pleased about that, and it can actually affect your unit's morale. So kind of like breaking them down, withering them down is an important factor. And here's my guys now trying to return fire. It's pretty exciting. I just love this. Just seeing, like, you know, what's going to happen. Are they going to take them out? Are we going to get destroyed? It's just really, really enjoyable. Now, something else that you can do, and you'll see in a minute, is you can actually loosely space your units. So this is obviously, I think this is where I start. Yeah, here we go. So basically what you can do is you can click like a formation of loose spacing, and you can see my guys spread out right here. I need to obviously move them a little so that they all have enough space to actually do that formation, because it creates, you know, it makes them take up a larger area. But by creating a loose spacing, obviously when you're taking archers or you're taking this kind of support fire, it means it's less likely to kill so many of people in that unit, so you can just kind of wither and hold the battle. Originally I had them all formed together in this kind of tight shield formation so that I can protect myself against cavalry and any other attacks that were coming my way. But now that this has started to come into place, you know, I have to reposition my guys. I put these ones out of range a little, and that's what we're doing. Meanwhile, my guerrilla cavalry have moved up round the rear, and we're preparing to make a little raid against his artillery. Now, when I spoke to Flame afterwards, he said he was aware of these because when I was moving them around, he'd actually noticed them moving, but then lost track of them for a time, because when they move in and out of trees, when I was moving around there, you can kind of lose sight of them, so he'd actually lost sight. But look at this. This is one of my favourite things with Total War. You can basically go into first person mode, and you can, well, sort of tracking cinematic mode anyway, and you can move in around here, drop all the HUD. Look at this in the hillside, and they're still firing the artillery off. It just looks absolutely awesome. And we can stay on with these guys right into combat. And you can click on any unit in the game and do this. You can be completely down on the ground fighting. Here we go. Going for a raid in. Going to attack the artillery units. And you can see here off to the right flank, Flame starts moving some pike guys up because he obviously is not too happy about this. My guy's prepping. And look at this. Huge barrage of flaming archers firing in here. Taking huge, loads amount of arrows in here. And there we go. Those first two are down, and they're still taking hits from my artillery. So we're even now on the artillery aspect. We just want to do a little raid on these guys. And we wanted to just get one shot away. Those pike guys are getting up pretty close, so I'm sending them to charge. Basically, when you double click, that's telling your units to charge, move quickly. When you go 1, they slow down, and I should have double clicked over there, which is why I correct it. And off they go away. So we did very, very well there. We managed to come in, and just in the nick of time, we got out of there and put some distance between ourselves and the pike guys. And now that cavalry unit, I will retreat back to the safety of the forest. Meanwhile, as you can see here up on the southwest side of the map, Flame has slightly repositioned his cavalry units, and they are coming up towards my left flank. I'm telling my, there we go, cavalry, bringing them back up to the forest here to regroup.
Siege engines!
And these guys, telling my siege guys now to target the cavalry horses. I want to keep them, I don't really want them to sort of sit up there. I want to put them under a little bit of pressure if I can. And now that I don't have to worry about that artillery anymore, I can close my guys back up into formation, so I bring them tight together so that they're prepared for that kind of attack. Now I've actually got this unit Warhounds as well. Warhounds are like attack dog units, and they're actually very, very good. Now you can see here we've skipped forward a little bit of time just while we were moving forward, because both of us didn't have much we could have going on there. Flames moved up his archers and a lot of his other units, and here goes my guerrilla infantry, or my cavalry yet again. They're riding out. Now what I was hoping here was that we could do another little sort of hit and run attack on Flame's camel units, because he's got his 2 camel units. They moved around to this side of the map, and I was hoping here that we could do like this, like a little javelin attack, just hit them and run. But look, my unit starts taking casualties almost immediately, and they actually get hit a hell of a lot harder. And by the time I realise I need to get them out of there, it's almost too late, and they're still hemorrhaging units. So putting them in there against 2 of his, I have damaged his camels. You can see I've damaged them about 50%, so that was actually really beneficial, but it cost me that unit, and I hadn't anticipated those guys actually, you know, taking him out there, so that was an unfortunate loss for me at this point. So now looking back up the hill, and we've got a different set of issues to face now. So Flame has now brought up his archers, and I don't really have anything to counter that with. I don't have any archery units, and remember that we took randomized armies, so you've just got to deal with whatever it is that we got given. I don't have any archery units. Now even if I had just 1 unit, that would be beneficial, because we could stand there and just fire at one another. Something that was a mistake from my point was that I should have just, well, you'll see in a minute what that is, I'll explain, but basically I make a tactical error here, which is, you know, annoying for me, but it's a lesson that you learn for another time. Now Flame here is obviously, you can see he's targeting my pike guys, and the main reason he's targeting those is because unlike my other units, they don't have really any effective shields. The other pike guys that are standing there, the other spearmen, they've got those bigger shields where they can kind of take the hits more, so he's obviously trying to prioritize. Now what I do here is I'm bringing out my attack dogs. Now we have played a few games, and I had a lot of success with my attack dogs in previous games. There we go, let loose, dogs of war. Off they go, running down in here. Let me tell you, if I was those archers, I would be somewhat worried myself. Here they go. These attack dogs are actually awesome. However, Flame had anticipated this, and as you can see, moves forward his sword melee guys, his attack unit, in front of the archers. He quickly retreated the archers back behind, and you can see that Flame's melee guys are basically just slaughtering the attack infantry, just slaughtering my dogs, which is a big shame, because as I say, in previous games when I'd used those attack dogs, they absolutely slaughtered the archers, and that's why, of course, Flame was prepared for this. Now this time I was a bit sort of like, okay, that is enough, and I was ready for a fight. However, this was probably my biggest error, and it shows why patience and discipline is a pretty strong thing. You know, you really, really need that in this game, and indeed probably any kind of tactical game. I've got some more pike over here. I've got a pike unit, and I'm keeping my attack infantry in a sort of tight formation right here. And the bloody camels, again, see the camels have got ranged, so yet again we're sort of taking ranged attacks. This was really the major difference between our 2 armies, was that Flame had a lot of ranged attacks and we did not. I'm just setting these guys into loose formation. They still have their Okay, and I'm moving some javelin guys towards the camels so that I can try and engage them. My main unit, including my generals, still back here up on the hill, out of range, in safety. And again, I wanted to just keep those guys there ready for the whenever the melee attack actually came, I would have that prepared. I'm just kind of playing like a little bit of bait and attack here, bait and attack, sort of back and forth, back and forth. And the camels, they're kind of coming in and running away, coming in and running away. These guys, I just move forward here, give me a bit of space to think. And now what I'm going to do is move my other melee attack infantry up behind to reinforce those units. But it's still anybody's game at this point. And here we go. Now this is the problem for me, is that, as I say, it's just that I have got quite a blocky, strong defense setup, and Flame has got this kind of hit and run and a little bit more range aspect. But again, a few errors from my part here are what really cost this the game. If I had played this game again, I definitely would have let them just wear down their range units, held the line, held formation, and just waited. But and that's why it's so important to not get caught up in the moment. When we were playing this, I really got caught up in the moment. I really was just like, come on then, let's fight, come on. And that's what kind of throws it away for you. Here we go. And this is, I was with the javelin guys here, I was trying to do the same thing. I wanted to pull him more towards me. I wanted to get these guys in the mix. And you can see finally the cavalry approaching, and I start to bring my own cavalry in reserve out now. That's my heavy melee cavalry. And they're basically good for just continued fighting. They're good for sort of standing there together, ongoing fighting, just like battling against one another. Sending them into charge, trying to get them in the mix. I want to send those guys in and start to repel. And again, at this time I was like, come on, you've been standing there. And this is why, like, sort of psychology actually comes into this a fair amount. It's surprising. You think you'd be like, okay, it's cool, no problem. You do get caught up in it. And, you know, especially when we're here, it's like very loud in your headphones, you're playing the game, you really get caught up in the battle. And that's why it's really, really important to stay more disciplined and focused and think of the overall game plan, what's happening here. But I did not do that. I got caught up in the attack, and I was like, come on, we've been standing there taking these withering barrages of ranged attacks for so long. I've been seeing my guys get burned to death. They're taking tons and tons of arrows, and we were just like, no more, we must get in and fight here. But unfortunately, as you will see, things do not go exactly to plan for me. I have got a lot of my attacking units right here, a lot of my attack melee infantry. The pike guys and the spearmen are up front here trying to hold the line, and really we should need to start sending these guys in here. But this is where it's all about. This is the proper total war. This is the full-on melee combat. This is where you really want to get to. And that build up to this point is what's so exciting about this game. Trying to psych out who's going to have the advantage. I mean, in many ways, you can look at it, you can make analogies for this in a way of sort of poker or chess. You're setting it up, you're preparing, you're making a play for this moment, this attack. This is where it leads up to. This is about having your units correct at the right time. You can hear Flame just throwing everything in here, and this is where it is. We're like Battle Royale now. We're just getting into the mix. And this is where you see Flame's cavalry comes into its own. The cavalry, which I do not unfortunately have. He has so many cavalry units, and what they have is they have that momentum of attack. They can just charge and plow into my guys. And that's why, you know, looking back, if I was going to play this again, what I would have done is kept my guys loosely spaced, take those archery barrages, take those attacks, and then be prepared for this kind of cavalry attack. I probably would have come back into sort of turtle shell formation, so have all my spear guys in the front line, have the attackers there as well, and just be prepared for those sorts of attacks. However, if I had had just a little bit more ranged attacks, that would have been beneficial, because I could have kept them behind, kept them firing. And in fact, actually, if I had had like a couple of archery units, I probably wouldn't have used them to engage Flame's archer at any point. I would have kept them for this moment and then had them behind the line to continually barrage and wither the other guys down whilst they're actually in combat. But you can see here, we're holding on. We are outnumbered now and we are struggling, but the guys are still holding on. A couple of my units are still holding the line pretty well, but it's this cavalry which is just reaping it at this point, because these guys are holding the line. There we are, we've broken another unit, unfortunately. Sending my attack infantry to pile in on these guys, and javelins right here. Actually, they're the pike, sorry. And you can see, there you go, you see, that's the trouble with the pike. The pike guys are excellent for holding that sort of charge back attack. You know, they can just stand there and take the line. My attack dogs and what remains of my cavalry trying to fight it out over here. Again, it maybe if I'd have changed out a couple of my units, just had maybe like one cavalry, one bow, that would have been great. But that's the fun thing about the way that we were playing this game. We were playing with a very much a kind of like randomized aspect, and it just means that you have to deal with whatever you get given. And it makes it more interesting because it means that sometimes it takes away a bit of a natural advantage. It handicaps you in some ways, and it also makes it a little more realistic. You know, the idea that you don't necessarily know what's going to happen there, you don't know what enemy's going to have. You've got to just deal with the situation to the best of your ability. Okay, and these guys right here, just trying to pick off. We're just trying to survive. We're just trying to get them, but it's really too late this time. You can see my guys are outflanked, outplayed, and the slaughter is over. Even though on the board, and Flame always says this to me, he's always just like, well, you know, it's not over yet. Dude, it's over. It's over. My guys are slaughtered on the ground. Now again, last charge of the cavalry from me. Sending them in here. I'm just hoping to try and get on the line, but there's so few of them, and they find it very hard to... Look, there we go. They break away, but they really can't sort of do anything. My attack infantry having to deal with double infantry over there as well. 2 Flames units, both of them veterans as well, which makes them obviously harder. They attack better. They just generally hold everything together better. And at this time, you can see we have completely lost control. I think my javelin guys here are the spears. They're actually out of ammunition, and they're weakened as well. So there we go. That is the game. And as I say, I enjoyed this round. It played out really well. That's why I'm showcasing it for you guys, because I thought this was just a really, really interesting gameplay. I really loved it. I loved the sort of artillery aspect we had to begin with, plus the sort of baiting and running, the little raiding attacks that we had going on. We're just trying to like psych each other out on the battlefield, and it all comes down to this. And it's like, again, it's a really good lesson. This is a good lesson of a video. And again, I guess that's another reason to showcase it, because not everything always goes to plan. Everything is not always a win. You know, in Battlefield, not everything is a win. And as I have said for the longest time, you learn best by your mistakes. So looking at this battle and analysing and understanding, okay, where did I go wrong? And often when we've had a battle like this, me and Flame will sit down and talk for another sort of 10-20 minutes about the battle, which phases happened, where did we go wrong, what could we have done better, and then it plays out differently. And you'll see on the next gameplay, which I'm going to post of Attila Total War, you'll see that the gameplay, it turns out very, very differently, but it's a completely different map setup, completely different unit setup, and we have a very different game indeed, and it's a close one as well. It comes right down to the wire. It's very exciting. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today. Please drop some thoughts below, comment about Total War. If you have any suggestions about what I could do better, please drop that down below. Always welcome to hear your thoughts about what we can improve upon. And let me know the kind of content that you would have. Again, like I said, I'd love to do with Lionheart, do like a 2v2, and I've talked to him about that, so I think that's pretty much on the cards. But if there's any specific mission elements you would love to see, would you like to see a port attack, a naval battle, a city siege? Would you like to see more skirmishes, like maybe just 2 units and how they play out, how we're going to work this out? Let me know. Tell me in the comments below. And also, as this is a slightly new series, guys, please show some ratings for this. Please drop a little like or dislike, whatever you thought about the video. Always helps me out, and I'd love to just get that feedback on the channel. So there we go, guys. Attila Total War. I'm crushed beyond repair, and my army is annihilated. Walk from the battle, dejected, disappointed, and my tail between my legs. Crushed. Close defeat. Not sure that it was that close. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Total War Attila. I'll see you next time.